HustleMan, back at you. Another project. What I got is a 2007 Nissan Altima coupe with a 3.5 liter. I'm replacing the 3 rear ignition coils, the one that's underneath the intake. I got kind of everything already kind of taken apart to speed up the process, so I can give y'all a quicker tutorial so y'all could get on to what y'all trying to get done. So let me show you where you start at. First, always take the post off, and you're gonna have to move this air box out the way to get the intake to have room to work. So go ahead and remove the air box. I already got it unbolted. Just gotta get it out of here. It's kind of tight. Set that to the side. Now you're gonna take your 4 bolts off of its throttle body. And you can just pull that to the side. You're gonna have to get this vacuum rail out of the way with what is it, like 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts. Then you can move all that away. Then you can pull unplug the vacuums, wherever they may go. Pull those back, and then you can just pull this right here and unplug it. Unplug all the plugs so you can really get it out your way. You can just set that to the side. Now you're down to the meat and potatoes. What I normally do when I'm messing around with intakes and stuff like that, just to make sure none of the bolts are different sizes or anything like that, so I don't have to do any guessing or putting in the wrong length bolt and all that, things like that. Always just put, as I take them out, I just always just put them back where they go, so ain't no more guessing. But at this point, you want to take the intake bolts out, which I've already done pulled. Set them to the side. You got these up in there, these 2 right here, the 2 on the 2 bolt, the 2 nuts on the corner. There. And you pretty much, the intake is loose. You got some hoses back here you have to take loose. Some vacuums back there. And some models would even have a small bracket over here to the corner. Alright, let me pull the intake. I'll get back with y'all. Okay, people, what I did to go to the back, I reached around the back on this side, on the driver's side, all the way around this way with a 10mm and got the bracket off. And it's pretty much loose. All I got is this hose right here on the side, the intake. But what I've noticed is, if you see how wet it is back there on the valve cover, she need valve covers. She need valve cover gaskets. So the customer didn't already authorize me to do the valve cover gaskets. Might as well, since I'm back here. So I'm gonna add that on to this tutorial. That'll help y'all, and I would suggest y'all do the same. As you get back here and you see, it's wet, on the valve covers, go and get you some valve cover gaskets. Do it while you got access. You know, once you then reached around there and got your bracket loose, and you got your vacuum hose off, you can just pull that out because it's already out. And you can just set that to the side. And all you gotta do is pull the intake up, straight up. Straight up and out. Set that to the side. And there's your ignition coil. Replacing all 3 of these. And back here, I'm gonna go ahead and replace this valve cover gasket. And my tip to anybody that's working at the top of the engine, always put you some rags in there, because you know you got bolts and things sitting up here. You know, you never know when you act like a donkey and get clumsy, drop a bolt down in there, and now you got a whole nother problem. So always stuff some rags down in there. Alright, to start getting your ignition coils out, all you get 3 10mm and 3 plugs. Pull all your plugs out. I went on ahead and pulled the O2 sensor plugs out also, because you know I'm taking the valve covers off. But just unplug all of those and take your 10mm out. Loosen those up. 3. However many you replacing. I'd advise you to replace all 3 of them. If you up under this intake, please do yourself a favor and replace all 3 of these ignition coils. Because it's not fun having to come back up under here, or it's not pleasant to have to pay me to go back up under there, you know, 3 months from now. So once you get all your bolts out, just pull your ignition coils up and out. There you go. Like I say, I always put my designated bolts back where they go, so I don't have to play no guessing game. Now, what I'm gonna do at this point is I'm gonna go ahead and take the fuel injector wires loose so I can pull those back up off of the valve cover, and then loosen up this harness. See this? You're gonna have to pop that clip off of right there. Get this loosened up, because you want your valve cover to go back down, see well. You don't want it pinched or anything like that. And another thing I just noticed, I'll tell her about that, because that doggone motor mount is busted good too. But that's another video. I'll let y'all know if she let me do it. Now at this point, you want to get all your bolts out of your valve covers. Take the holes off, at least on the back side. You know, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 bolts to remove. Once you get those removed, just give it a little wiggle. over the sensor right there. And just pull it straight up. Trying to do this with one hand, and wait a minute, I got a clip. See that clip right there? Let me get that clip off right there, y'all. Alright. Clip off. Pull up and out. See that right there? That's where the problem was. That's where it was leaking at right there. Somebody had so-called themselves putting a little gasket maker right there, but that ain't gonna work. What I usually do with these valve covers is, you know, when you trying to get the gasket off, you really don't want to use not like a screwdriver or anything like that, because you don't want to create little crevices and cracks or pits or anything like that in your valve cover, because it's plastic, of course. I usually use a little plastic tool like this to get up in those cracks and just pry it up. And once you get it up, easy peasy. Once you get it started, you can just pull it on off. Like I said, you don't want to use nothing too harsh on this, because you don't want little cracks and stuff. This has been heated up for years, so it's somewhat brittle. If you don't want to replace it, don't use nothing that's gonna crack it. But you see how on that corner right there, where somebody tried to repair the gasket, I guess, get the little piece of silicone, the gasket maker. Do it right. Now, before you put the new gasket on there, you know, you're gonna wanna, clean this off real good. Get up there inside those little crevices and things like that. Clean it up real good. Make sure there ain't no, anything, any particles or anything like that in there that's gonna not let the gasket seat properly. Now, when you go in to put the gasket on, just make sure it's seated properly. A lot of people, they do add a little gasket maker along this edge right here, but I mean, it's not like a mandatory thing. If you buy a good gasket, it's going to seat correctly. When you put the gasket on there, it's going to fit. It's going to fit the valve cover. You shouldn't have to make it, turn in different angles, and you shouldn't have to force it to make turns or the seat correctly, because it's made for this valve cover. If you do have to force it and make it do different angles and things like that, then you probably got the wrong valve cover gasket. Next, you just want to drop your valve cover back in there. Make sure it's up seated properly. Make sure it ain't no wires up underneath it pinching or anything like that. And then replace your bolts. And when you tighten them up in a pattern, a cross pattern. Like tighten up one on this side and go over to the other side and tighten one in the back. And then come over to the front and tighten this one in the front. And then go over to the back and tighten that one in the back. And then come up here, and then so on and so on. They don't have to be, you don't have to pull your pythons out to tighten them up, and just snug them. Okay, I done went on ahead and installed the spark plugs and got the new coils put in. I mean, I'm pretty sure, I mean, if you changing ignition coils behind the intake, removing the intake, then you should know how to put a spark plug in. I shouldn't have to show y'all that part. But now all we have to do is get the fuel rail, the injector rail plugs, click back in there, and plug in the new ignition coils. There was a few other plugs back here that we was needing to plug in also. There was that O2 sensor plug right there. Okay, if I can get this to line up. There we go. Clicks in. And then this is for that O2 sensor that I pulled back over here to the side. Even pull that back up under there. Bring it to it. Plug that in there. It's hard to do it with one hand, but here you go. Hear that click, you know it's in. The last ignition coil wires on there. Put your sensor, plug your sensor back in there. Forget that. Now we're gonna tighten these bolts down and replace the intake. Okay, so basically I just set it back down on there. No biggie. I just did it because it's hard to hold the camera and put it down and set it down on there at the same time. But that's it. If you want to, you could do your hoses back there while the intake is loose, give you a little bit more mobility, a little flexibility. Got your hoses put back on back there. Okay. Now you just start putting your intake bolts back in. And get tight. Just get them started with your finger. Each one. Make sure you start them with your finger. Okay, you're gonna tighten those down. Then you're gonna put your vacuum rail back on, like so. Let me tighten this intake up and get back with you. All right, your next stage is putting your vacuum rail back on and hooking up all your vacuum lines and everything. So your screws should be where you left them, if you left them there. But you're gonna put your vacuum lines back on, and then you're gonna put everything back in reverse, just like you took it off. Everything should be sitting right there, waiting on you to put it back, you know, and plug everything back up. All your vacuums. should still be in the same place. Should still be in the same place where you got them from. Just put everything back and tighten everything down.